Hello and welcome to Race 8 of the GTTCC. This is brought to you by the Maggiore Racing Club over on Facebook. The link will be in the description. This is the reverse grid of Race 7, which was at Interlagos, which we took a pole and victory at. So, of course, being reverse grid, we're going to be starting last. So, on the grid, our main championship competitors are right ahead of us. Going to try and get a good start, although it's going to be a tight corner up front. So, off the brake, try and get traction again, and that's a pretty decent start, matched by Steve just ahead. So we're looking to the outside of the first corner, so we'll switch to the inside because Steve's coming across. So this is going to give us a good line through here. It gets quite tight here, but it does leave us on the outside around this corner. So try and hang it around the outside. In hindsight, probably a bad idea. Marco comes across and we're off on the grass, so that is always a problem going around the outside of that corner there, is you're going to be left to hang out to dry. So no place is gained for the first couple of corners, and Steve's still ahead there. So coming through this fast right-hand corner, second gear up to third. Now this is quite a tricky corner in here because it's an increasing radius corner, so you have to brake and meet the apex as late as you can. So normally down to third there, it looks like Wimpy just make a mistake there, meant we couldn't get to the apex, a bit hesitant on the power, but it means everything's to do ahead of us. Right on the back of Steve, he's gone in quite deep there, misses the apex. It means that we can almost get alongside. Yes, we can get alongside onto the back straight. So that last corner there is quite important because it's a long straight all the way up here. It's uphill again, so anything lost there is going to carry all the way up to the hill. So up to 8th on the back of the Durex Hurricane. Let's see if we can make any impression down into this really banked hairpin. Down hard under the brakes, all the way down to second. On the inside, managed to take the inside line there, and we're past the Hurricane. So now we've got the BMW and the GTR. The BMW gets bought by the GTR going around the outside, and we managed to slip up the inside there. Really, it looked like the GTR was looking at the BMW more than the Audi and managed to slip by. So now we're up to 5th and chasing down Marco in the orange TT. Up ahead, we've got Dre going wide in the TT into that corner and losing a lot of speed. Looks like he's got yet another colour for his Audi TT. His Nike sponsored car seems to be a different colour every race. But we managed to get the exit on Marco and down the inside. And we managed to get Dre into the final corner there, just slipping through. Compromises our exit to the tight line there. And Marco managed to get past. And then he's coming back past us by the looks of it. So down to the first corner, breaking between the cones and the end of the wall there, and Dre gives Marco one hell of a punt there, and Marco is off into the weeds there. Does mean that we don't need to pass him anymore, but it's a bit unfortunate for the battle between Marco and Dre, but it looks like Dre gave him the space back, and Dre hasn't gained anything. So onto the second lap, we can see APA, we know he's fast in that McGann, pulling away, and we've got Ricky just ahead, so we want to try and pass Ricky as quick as possible because we don't want people to get away, because that's where Ricky goes in way too deep there. It looks like we had a bit of contact as he came back on the track, but it looks like his four-wheel drive system has allowed him to carry on as normal. So now we've got a gap here of just over 2 seconds to APA, so we're going to fast forward it because this next section is just about getting the lap times in, being consistent and trying to close that gap on APA. So we know he's fast, and to start off with, we are really struggling to catch him, but with a few more laps, just keep on keeping it consistent, finding little bits of time here and there. What I'm also doing in this section is trying to look at where APA is fast and where he's not so fast. So I've got an idea that once we do get close to him, where we can attack and where's not going to be really an opportunity to attack. So we fast forwarded on a couple of laps there, and now we're really starting to get into the slipstream at APA there. It looks like he's even going a little bit defensive there, trying to throw us off the scent of his slipstream. So down into the first corner, all up over those curbs there. APA taking a wide line. I prefer to take the shallower line there and then just try and build it. Running a little bit wide there, losing a bit of his traction there. Through this left-hander, doesn't quite get to the curb, so you have to find once you start to get within range of a driver, they start to take more notice of you. Because they take more notice of you, they make more mistakes, and that's where the opportunity is. So normally if I'm ahead, I like to keep people with it a few seconds behind me. because then I don't have to think about them. Coming into the fast right-hander, so we're now really getting in this slipstream range, especially going down this long straight here. So we're going to be braking down to third, get it as close to the curb as possible, back on the power. APA is a little bit wide there, takes a bit of more curb than he probably wants to, and looks like he's off onto the grass, and it looks like we've forced him into mistake. Looks pretty uncharacteristic there, and in fact, there we go, it was actually a bit of lag, so he comes pop flying back through, didn't hit me on the way through, but it does mean that we are behind him. So I put up the TV camera in the top right just for you here. So coming down into the hairpin, he takes quite a tight line, managed to get a better exit. He goes to go round the normal racing line, and then goes to the inside. So we go for the normal racing line, which is the outside here, but it's going to give us the inside to the next part. ABA tries to come across, but the nose is just there, so he can't quite come across, and that pushes us up into first, onto the brakes, down to third. Looks like he tries to turn in, but my TT is in the way there, and we've successfully gone from last to first in this race. So we've still got 10 laps remaining. So what we'll do, we'll have a look at the action throughout the grid and see if we can find any more action. So coming along the start finish line, we can see first it's myself, second it is APA, third, well, looks at the distance there, I believe it's Marco, but we'll double check in a second. So yeah, second is APA in the Megane, third is, looking at it, yeah, third is actually Marco, and then we've got fourth is Steve in the other TT. So Steve needs to try and get a hurry on if he wants to keep the pressure up. Fifth we've got Dre, followed by Donovan, I believe it is, in the blue BMW. And they're quite close in that battle there. So we know that BMW is fast off the straight, and it's a fast car. I just think it needs to be a little bit more consistent. He's going to start pulling through some more results. Looking back, I think by the looks of it, it's Wimpy in 7th in the Tamiya car. Yeah, so Wimpy in 7th in the Tamiya car, and the Tamiya TT. So he was last on the first lap, if I remember correctly, because he made that mistake on the third gear right-hand corner. But he's made up good places. So then we got 8th, we've got the Durex Huracan coming through, and 9th. Can't quite see over the top of that hill. It may be, yeah, so we've got Ginge in the Castrol GTR. So him and Ricky have had quite a few good bouts over the last few races, but it looks like Ricky's a fair way back. Yeah, Ricky's a good few seconds back in the Heineken STI. So can he make up some places from where he is? Can he catch up to Ginge and have one of their battles? What we'll do now is for the next few laps, now much really happens, we're already on lap 7, so we'll fast forward it and see where the action brings us. Okay, so rejoining the action, we're looking for the battle for second. Here we've got APA in the Megane, and you can see Marco has caught him up in the orange TT, and it's now starting to put APA under a little bit of pressure. So it looks like he was wide onto the final straight there, and that's going to cost him a lot of time down here. So Marco, APA goes defensive, Marco goes all the way, that's really squishing him against the wall there. I think Marco was actually in fact on the grass, but he does have the inside line now to the hairpin. Down hard onto the brakes. It looks like Marco's completed the pass as long as he can keep it within the confines of the track. So that was a very brave pass there by Marco. It looks like APA gave as good as he could, pushed him all the way to the wall, but left just about enough space for Marco to get through. So that's a good pass. And looks like he's successfully holding him off over the next few corners. What we'll do now is I'll take you through my fastest lap. So going to the final corner, stay in fourth, just so we can get a better drive off the corner. Third sometimes gives you a bit more turning, but if you can get it on the nose, that's great. So across the line, we're going to brake down to second, between the cone and the end of the green wall there. So from fifth all the way down to second, take as much curb as you can, but try and keep the wheels on the curb. Down to first, just to get the car turned in. Get on the power, as soon as we hit the limiter, up to second, up to third, use as much of the track on the right as you can, swing it in completely flat out, up to fourth, then down 2 gears. Once we can get to the apex, we're onto the power. We can run it wide, again, as long as we keep 2 wheels on that curb in there. Up through the gears. Now this is quite a tricky corner. What I tend to do is brake when you hear the checkpoint coming in. So hit the checkpoint, down to third. Once we can get to the apex, we can get back on the power. Just have to feather a little bit as it induces a little bit of understeer. Up to fourth. Now on here we're going to brake just at that cone there, down to third. Once we've made the apex, we know we can get back on the power. We're going to stay tight to the right so that we can make this corner as open as possible. Again, flat out, use the extra bit of road there, and then we're going to trace the line of least resistance all the way up the hill. So as we're going to get to the top of the hill, we'll probably hit about 140. We'll change up into sixth. Fantastic. Now, braking point for this corner, we're looking for the shadow just here, and then down to second. Take as much curb as we can, shorten that corner, and back on the power a little bit wide, and we hit the gravel with 2 wheels, and that to slow us down a little bit, but only a little bit. All the way up, again, line of least resistance. These 2 corners here are completely flat out. So now staying to the left, and what we're doing, we're looking for the zone just there where there's a bit of change, rubber marks on the curb there. Down to 2 gears to third, rev bang it in third, there's no point in going to fourth. A little bit of a lift to get the nose in, and then back up on to the power and up to fourth. Now the final corner here, what we're going to do is brake around about this cone here. There we go, stay in fourth. Once it's in, get back on the power. Got a little bit of extra road there to run wide, and then power all the way to the line. And that gives us a lap time of what's that? So 1 minute, 2 minutes 1.9. So a decent lap time there. What we'll do now, we'll fast forward a little bit more of the gameplay, and then see if we can find some more action throughout the field. As it looks like we're growing a sizable gap. What's at the moment around 9 seconds to second. So looking back, we can see Ricky has actually passed Ginge in the GTR, and they've both caught up to the Durex Huracan. So now this is a very close battle for, what is it, 7th, 8th and 9th, sorry, 8th, 9th and 10th. Down to the hairpin. It looks like the Huracan's on the inside. We're looking at the wrong car. We need to switch cameras here. But it looks like Ricky's gone all the way around the outside of the Durex Huracan, and Ginge is now right up behind the Huracan looking for that slipstream. Huracan is now dropped right down, and he's getting the pressure on from Ginge, and still looking at Ricky in the SE. Looks to the inside. It's a braking zone long enough into this turn here. Doesn't look so, and the Huracan actually goes a little bit deep. Can Ginge capitalise on there? A little dab of the brakes there, and it looks like Ginge can't quite capitalise because the Huracan's gone on the attack. Going into the final corner here, he's on the inside of Ricky. Both brake. It looks like Ricky brakes a little bit later, but goes way too wide, ends up on the grass, and that's going to lose him time to not only the Durex one, but to Ginge. But Ginge doesn't look like he quite gets past him. Going across down to the start-finish line. This, I believe, is now on the final lap, so this is going to be an interesting battle going forward, because it looks like just in the background there, Ginge has got past Ricky. So Ricky's gone from 9th to 8th, and now back down to 10th. So some good racing up and down the field here. What we need to do is just switch camera. Yeah, we can see now Ginge and Ricky going at it. Ginge ahead of Ricky, but running a little bit wide there. Does Ricky have any way to come back at the GTR? Coming up into this ever-tightening corner. Looks like Ginge is a little bit wide. Can Ricky take advantage? Looks like he can. It is actually back through. I thought they were going to be alongside, but looks like Ginge lost a lot of time by running wide into that corner there. And Ricky is back up to 9th. Is there enough the time to catch the Huracan? I don't know about that. It looks like he may need to just focus on holding off Ginge, who's behind him. So it looks like that GTR is getting some good speed up through the tight S's up there and onto the back straight. Following in his slipstream, is Ginge going to go for him at the hairpin? Coming up to the braking zone, Ginge is alongside on the brakes. They both go hard on the brakes. Ricky gives Ginge enough space, tries to cut back, doesn't quite get it, doesn't quite get the traction out there, and now Ginge is back up to 9th. Looks like Ricky's actually going down the inside though, coming into the S's, but that's going to be the outside on the next corner, and it looks like it's running a bit too wide and he's all over the shop. It looks like Ginger's also made a mistake there, so it looks like Calamity versus Calamity there. What we'll do, we'll fast forward a few corners on, because this is the final lap for everybody, and we'll give a quick rundown. So first goes to myself, crossing the line there. Second and third, very close. Actually looks like, I believe Marco got past APA, so APA's managed to retake Marco. Marco goes way wide on the final corner, trying everything. So it looks like APA managed to take a second back from Marco. Marco comes home in third. Who's in fourth? So can we see who's a bit further down the field? We've got Steve coming home in fourth, maybe making a couple of mistakes and not quite catching up to APA and Marco ahead. So coming out the final corner, and that looks like fourth is going to Steve in the Audi TT, with fifth looking like it was Dre in the Audi TT, and then sixth Donovan in the BMW with a nice handbrake turn across the start-finish line. So let's look a bit further down the field. Who finished up 7th? Let's have a quick look. 7th, we've got Wimpy in the Tamiya Audi TT. So it looks like he had a fairly quiet race after he made up the positions that he lost at the start. It's actually got a happy birthday on the side. So we'll have to find out what that was. 8th, looks like it's ended up with the Huracan, even though he did drop back into Ginge and Ricky's fight. It looks like he's made good progress back away from them and managed to open up the gap, so he comes home to take 8th, unless there's a complete dramatic issue on the final corner, which it looks like he's perfectly fine and all the way through. He too does a nice handbrake turn across the line, and then 9th and 10th, it looks like it goes to Ricky in the STI and Ginge in the GTR. So thank you for watching. That was race 8. This week we have race 9 and 10, which are the final rounds of this season 7. So far so good. We've had some good results and good battling. Next week the final round, actual round 10, will be on the Nordschleife, so that's going to be a very interesting race, especially if it's reverse grid and we have a good result in race 9. If you liked it, drop a like. If you disliked it, give it a dislike. If you want to, subscribe, and there'll be more content soon.